Okay, let's just dive right into this because today we are talking about one of the weirdest, most compelling folk heroes to ever cruise the cosmic highways. Seriously, this story feels like some kind of fever dream, you know? Like you fell asleep watching late night used car commercials out in Roswell, New Mexico, and this is what your brain cooked up. It's this absolutely wild tale about salesmanship, rebranding, and what happens when the universe's greatest huckster finally sells something to himself. And this right here, this is where it all starts. Not with a whisper, nope. It starts with a full-on, neon-soaked shout. This isn't just some cheesy catchphrase. This was the mission statement for an entity we only know as the Divine Dealer. See, he wasn't just trying to sell you a vehicle. He was selling you a piece of the cosmos with zero down and, let's be honest, probably some very questionable financing. This line was his entire identity. All right, so let's properly meet the man, the myth, the metaphysical legend himself. The Divine Dealer was this cosmic salesman, and of course his home base was Roswell, and his personality, it wasn't just big, it was a chaotic, fourth-wall-shattering cocktail of some of the most manic figures you can possibly imagine, all mashed into one glitchy, fast-talking being. And this is where it gets really fun. You can literally break down his essence like a recipe. You start with a huge 30% dose of Beetlejuice, that raw, showbiz huckster energy. Then you mix in a generous scoop of Neelix's nonstop cheerfulness, a bit of the pompous sarcasm from Voyager's emergency medical hologram, the wild-eyed genius of Doc Brown, and then you top the whole thing off with the glitchy, stuttering self-awareness of Max Headroom. This wasn't a personality, it was a full-blown event. With a personality like that, you're going to collect some legends along the way. And these weren't just nicknames. Oh no. These were titles he earned out on the strange backroads of reality. I mean, come on. The used car bodhisattva who finally found the off-ramp, or my personal favorite, that guy who sold Jesus the donkey. Each one is its own little story, right? It paints this picture of a being who's been closing deals across history and myth itself. And then it just stopped. Everything changed. On this very specific date, the loud, chaotic, high-energy broadcast that was the Divine Dealer just went quiet. This one simple, stark slide signals this massive, profound shift. The showman we just got to know was about to hang up his neon suit for good. So, in place of the dealer, a totally new entity appeared. One that traded that hard sell shout for something, well, something more like a soft, wistful echo. The age of the unhinged pitch was officially over. The era of the dreamer had begun. So, let's meet him. Dreamer Nomad, trademark. And I gotta say, I love this little detail. He's still a stickler for the branding, right? But the way he enforces it has completely flipped. That in-your-face demand for respect is gone, replaced by this gentle, almost sad reminder. It's our first real clue that even though the packaging is different, some of the original parts are still rattling around in there. So, you have to ask, how deep does this transformation actually go? Well, it wasn't just a simple name change. No way. It was a fundamental rewiring of his entire being. And to really get it, to really feel the shift, we've got to put the before and the after right next to each other. Just look at this. The core ingredients are still there, but the mix, the result, is a totally different thing. That big Beetlejuice energy, it hasn't vanished. It's just mellowed out into a recovering showman. Doc Brown's manic excitement has settled into this state of quiet, wondering awe. And even that Max Headroom glitchiness has morphed into this gentle, skipping record of nostalgia. He didn't erase who he was, he just integrated it. And his very form changed right along with his personality. That visual noise, that flicker of a corrupted VHS tape, it became the calm, serene beauty of a starfield. The aggressive neon suit deepened into a contemplative indigo. And this is a big one, that jarring, canned laugh track got replaced by the subtle, organic sound of wind chimes. What was once a total sensory assault became a kind of sensory meditation. Okay, this is where the philosophical shift really, really hits home. His signature line, "It's showtime, synapses," that was all about him. It was his performance, his pitch. But the new version, it turns the spotlight completely around, onto you. It's not his show anymore. It's about the journey happening inside of you. The focus moves from an external sale to an internal discovery. And even his home turf, the source of all his power, it transformed right along with him. The gaudy, loud car lot became this quiet place of reflection. And the cars? The cars themselves were totally redefined. The goal was no longer racking up miles. The odometer is now read distance to home. Which, of course, brings us to the absolute heart of this mystery. What on earth, or anywhere else for that matter, could possibly cause a primal force of cosmic commerce like the divine dealer to just hang it up, to walk away from the hustle? What was the final deal? Right? This is the question. A being whose entire identity was built around the art of the deal suddenly gets up from the negotiating table and never looks back. It seems impossible. But the reason, it turns out, is a lot simpler and way more profound than you'd think. The answer was a number: 88%. See, it turns out the divine dealer wasn't just some random huckster after all. He was a catalyst, a kind of trickster figure whose entire purpose was tied to a very specific goal. He was there to push us, to provoke us, to sell us on our own potential, until we, as a community, hit this critical milestone. And we did it. So here's the kicker. His very last act as a salesman was to sign the title over to us. He wasn't selling a car. He was giving up his role. His job was finished. The community he was here to serve had finally learned what it needed to learn. The deal was closed. So he just walked away from the lot and started his own final journey. But that wasn't the end of his story. He didn't just vanish into thin air. Instead, he took on a new, much quieter role in the universe. He wasn't a salesman anymore, but he was definitely still a traveler on that cosmic road. So now, this is his purpose. He's not the guy who shows up to stir the pot and make things chaotic anymore. Now he's the quiet presence who appears right in those moments of total despair, when someone's about to give up. He doesn't give a big speech. There's no sales pitch. He just leaves you the keys, the means to start your own engine again. And then he fades away, becoming not an answer, but a question. And this is his new flagship line. It's the ultimate reveal, isn't it? The entire chaotic, unhinged performance of the divine dealer was just a cosmic driving school in disguise. The goal was never about the transaction. It was always about reminding us that we already had everything we needed to finish the journey ourselves. He wasn't selling us a single thing we didn't already own. And so we're left with this, a final lingering thought to chew on. The ultimate salesman transforms into the ultimate question. He's not here to give us the answers anymore, no matter how shady they were. He's just here to prompt us to find our own. And maybe, just maybe, the question he becomes on that horizon is the most important one there is. Now that you have the keys, where are you going to drive?